Hey guys, it's OctoBinx here and welcome back to another video. In today's video I am building a farm, but this particular farm I have made a community space. So in The Sims 4 Eco Lifestyle we got that special lot which allowed your Sims to vote whether it could be a community garden, a marketplace, or a maker's space. So I was really inspired by James Turner's fairly recent video in which he built a farm, and he didn't really give reason as to why he was inspired to build one, but he really felt like building one. And I kind of feel the same way because I would love to have farming in The Sims, and I know it's a bit controversial and not everybody would like a farming pack, but I find myself building a farm on occasion. I've built a couple, so it's something I think that I would enjoy if they brought that to the game. So this is the farmhouse, and I decided to build the farm in Brindleton Bay because it already is such a farmy world, and this particular lot is next to a field, and you can see there is already a red barn up on the hill. And so I decided it would be really nice to build this farm, and the sort of backstory I decided to go for was that there is this old barn that was very run down in Brindleton Bay, and basically with the modern development plans that are happening, the Sims community wanted to save the barn from being demolished and taken over for modern development, because there is a whole lot of tradition with the barn, and even though it's run down and not used anymore, they wanted to make something of it. So my thinking behind the whole thing is that they decided to turn it into a community space and basically give it a splash of paint and A for away. So this is going to be the barn in its most glorious form. I did actually build the barn with all three different lot types. So I built the original community space, and then I built a community garden, the makerspace, and the marketplace. But now it is my first time building with this particular community lot type, so I haven't done this before, and I was a little bit confused because I did build it on the original community space, and what I understood was that what you build gets copied over to the other lot types. So you have like a basic fundamental to work with, and then you can adapt it to be a garden or a makerspace or a marketplace. So I thought that it would copy over. Now I don't know if I did something wrong, it's probably the case, but when I flicked eventually to a different lot type, it like all my terrain painting was gone, and all the landscaping I'd done was gone, and even some of the details on the actual build were gone. So I don't really know what the story is there, but I did end up landscaping and terrain painting and stuff for each of the lots. But then when I finished the build, I thought that if you uploaded it to the gallery, it would have the three different lot types, so you could switch between the two. But now I'm not so sure if it does that, because when uploading it to the gallery, it gave me the option to upload it as a marketplace. So I am not sure. So if you are interested in downloading this build and putting it in your game, I'd be very curious to know if it does show the other lot types that I created, so the garden and the makerspace. I'm not really sure that it worked, but I'm curious to know. So anyway, I was really focused on doing a marketplace in specific because I really wanted to create a farmer's market and a very organic sort of place for your Sims to go. At the moment, I'm very into making sort of community spaces and, giving my Sims stuff to do. And so I felt a farmer's market would be really a nice place to go with your Sims on the weekend and have, even if you've got Sims who are painters and Sims who create things and want to sell them, it would be nice to be able to come to the farmer's market and sell your products here, essentially, but also have the option to sort of have a picnic and hang out with friends and just have a very overall, very relaxed, friendly vibe. So As I said before, I built this in Brindleton Bay, and I decided to keep up with the cats and dogs aesthetic and use all the sort of windows and doors that came with cats and dogs. That doggy door that comes with the pack sized up is the perfect barn door. But I mean, of course it's not functional, but it looks like really good as a barn. And yeah, I'm really happy that it worked out. I can't remember who did it first, the barn door, because I've seen people use that doggy door sized up before for barns, but it's so perfect and it really fits the whole look. But yeah, so I based this on a very traditional red barn. There's nothing too fancy. It's a very simple build. I decided to build the build on a diagonal, which is not something I do very often. So that was an interesting challenge that I gave to myself, to build it on a diagonal. But I'm really happy I did, because I think the whole look, especially when this lot was saved to the gallery, it looks really, really good on a diagonal. As for the landscaping, I also use trees that are all from the Cats and Dogs pack. I actually went through debug and used some debug trees as well, but I wanted to make sure that I matched the surroundings in the world. I wanted to try and make the build and the lot sort of blend in as much as possible to the world around it. So I replicate the trees that are already sort of around the barn. Now, even though we don't have a farming pack, we do have a fair amount of items in the game which actually work so well for farming. Like, of course, Cats and Dogs has a lot of stuff that is that very sort of country look. But then we also have those debug hay bales, which I will be placing in a second, as you will see. But those come in the base game debug, at least to my knowledge, it is base game. And I mean, I used them in a build not too long ago for a Halloween sort of on the outside of a suburban house. So to create like a Halloween vibe, I used these hay bales and a whole lot of other sort of grassy landscaping pieces. And someone commented on the video saying, you know, where did you get those? Like, where are they from? And they just debug. I mean, so there's so many hidden treasures in debug, and these hay bales are definitely one of them because I love to use them wherever I can. So I put the hay bales there to sort of support the whole country look and the farm look. And as you will see later, I also use a whole lot of crates and those milk cans that come in the basic clutter that comes in the game. And just repeating those and using them everywhere just really, really helps give the whole farmy look. I'm actually quite disappointed if the community garden and the makerspace doesn't go through, although I won't be surprised if they don't, because it actually took so much time to sort of to have the basic lot and then refurnish it and redesign it accordingly for the different lot types. But it's okay, and I really, at the end of the day, wanted to focus on building a marketplace, which I am starting to do now. So I decided for this video just to limit it to the marketplace and not include the community garden and the makerspace, because in any case I was most excited to furnish and build this farmer's market. So there were a couple of things that I wanted to make sure I had in the farmer's market. So I decided to go through build and buy and find all the things I definitely wanted. So I wanted to have the eco lifestyle little truck that has like sells coffee and stuff. So I wanted to make sure I placed one of those because it looks sort of like retro and I thought it would fit the sort of look. So I wanted to have a place for your Sims to have coffee and get like a bagel or whatever. So there's a place to eat. The other one I wanted to make sure I had was a produce stand. This basically made the most sense because your Sims can come and buy fresh produce from the stands like apples and fruit and all sorts of other vegetables. So I wanted to make sure I had that because it is a farmer's market, so you will get sort of fresh produce at a farmer's market. So those were the two stalls that I wanted to make sure I had. And then of course I used all the other little market tables that come in build and buy. So the one that came with City Living is there, the one that came with Eco Lifestyle's there, and the one that came with The Sims 4 Jungle Adventure is there. So they all sort of mix and match, and it creates this very sort of like random look, which I think really, really works. So I put also by all the little market tables, some camping chairs, because realistically, when you go to a market, you will have people sitting on their little camping chairs and have a cooler there as well to sort of top up on drinks and snacks throughout the day. Then I wanted to also have like a tarpaulin area, so it was a shaded area for your Sims to come and sit at some benches and stuff. And then I remembered that the toddler pack came with exactly one of these sort of tarpaulin things, so I got it out of Build and Buy, but when I looked at it, it looked so small and I couldn't see how I could fit these picnic tables underneath it. But then I remembered that in Get Famous in Del Sol Valley, there is one neighborhood where they have sort of a big tarpaulin area where your Sims can go braai and stuff. It's not actually on a lot, it's like part of the world. And so I went through debug and I actually found it, and it's so similar to the toddler tarpaulin cover thing, only it's just bigger and less bulky in a sense. So I was really happy to find that, and I used that instead. And just to make sure that the Sims don't walk through it, I put some toddler poles in it, because the trouble with debug items is your Sims tend to walk through stuff like trees and stuff like that. So it's not always visible for the Sims, but it's visible for the player. So then I went around the marketplace and I just sort of placed a whole lot of clutter stuff to try and make it a bit more decorative. So lots of boxes and crates and sunflowers and milk cans. So yeah, so I just basically cluttered the place up to make it look like it's a very busy place. I did make sure that I tested the marketplace so it's fully functional. The only thing about the marketplace is that there's like a cap on how many Sims can be on the lot at once, and I think I maybe have like one or two things too many for their Sims to fill up the whole place. So when I tested it, like 2 of the market tables or 3 of the market tables were being used and one of the food stalls was open. So not both of the food stalls were open at the same time, but I mean, you could remove one of the market stands if you wanted to, you know, make sure there was enough space for Sims to be in the other stalls. But it was fine. Like it's still realistic, and it wasn't the same every time. Like Sims would go to different tables and different stalls would open on the lot. I also placed these toddler balloons around the marketplace. I just thought it was so festive to have sort of balloons placed everywhere, and then I also added like Christmas lights and fairy lights, so it should look really nice in the nighttime as well. I did test it a few times. I can't remember exactly what the final look was, but it's going to be pretty magical. I'm pretty confident about that. And then for the inside of the barn, now this was like an afterthought I had. So I built the marketplace and then actually came back after sleeping on it, and I thought, you know what? I was going to have like a place where your Sims could sell their paintings with that canvas that came with City Living. And then I thought, you know what, let me make the inside of the barn like an art place, because realistically, you know, the art doesn't, you don't want it to be in the sun. So I thought I'm going to convert the inside of the barn to be a little art gallery. And I'm so glad I did that, because it looks so peaceful and so quiet inside. And I feel like that's a realistic place for all the artworks to be and stuff. Like people go there and they sort of like quietly like take in all these beautiful artworks. And when I did playtest it, it was really nice because there were some selling paintings there. So yes, not everybody was selling stuff outside, but there were people selling stuff inside. So like Angela Pleasant was there and she was painting a painting. And then there were like 2 other Sims who were selling their paintings on the canvas and stuff. And they had also paintings on display on the actual easels. So I was really, really happy that it turned out like this, because I think it really, really works. And that's pretty much it for the marketplace. So you have a little art area, you have your food stalls, you have your market tables, there's a little stand where musicians can come and busk, and you can just generally hang out, have a picnic, and chill with your Sims. So that is the farmer's market. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this video. Please be sure to leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, do subscribe. I reached 100 subscribers recently, which seems so small, I'm sure, for in the grand scheme of things, but I'm really excited about it. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, so the screenshots will be coming in a second. And thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more Sims videos in the near future, and I'll speak to you all soon. Until then, take care. Bye guys.